The Los Angeles Chargers are 3-0 for the first time in 23 years, which is just crazy to say because I'm 26. So we're talking about I was 3 years old the last time this team got off to that good of a start. And the reason why Los Angeles has seen so much success is because they've built a team that is overall complete. This is the first time in the Herbert area where there's been a competent defense, there's been a run game, there's been good coaching, there's been roster moves made to bolster last season's team, which won 11 games. And no, don't get me wrong, this wasn't the best win by any means. It's a win in the division. It's a game the Chargers had to get. I'm not complaining by any means. But the Chargers were up 10 to nothing to start this game, and then the Broncos scored 17 unanswered points. Bo Nix missed a couple of throws. Cortland Sutton ran a double move late in this game across the left sideline. He was wide open. Nix also was a yard short on a scramble. So it goes to show that if a couple of plays had just gone Denver's way, they would have won this game. But that's football. The Chargers made the plays they had to. Justin Herbert had Nick Bonito draped all over him, got his left arm out, and Herbert, of course, was able to fire it in there for the touchdown. Quentin Johnson made a ton of big plays in this game. So did Ladd McConkey. So did Keenan Allen. The receiver core, I didn't think it'd be this good. I mean, I'll be the first to admit how wrong I was. Now, McConkey, we knew he was going to have another good year. But in terms of Keenan Allen coming off of the street right before the season started, Quentin Johnson has looked absolutely awesome. He had a big play to start off this game, which set up a Charger field goal. And of course, he also was able to come down with several key first down catches. Aronde Gadsden, this was his first opportunity, and man, did he deliver. We're going to do a film study on him tomorrow. Obviously, this game ended 30 seconds ago. I don't have the tape on it. But Gadsden finishes with, 5 catches for 46 yards. It might not seem like much, but when you're the Chargers last season, Will Disley was kind of the only tight end who was able to do anything. And to have an explosive receiver in a tight end's body, just another weapon. Herbert was looking for him. It's just rare you see a rookie tight end having that type of impact. And then you add in 89 yards from Johnston, 65 from Keenan Allen. There's been a lot of consistency. I thought this was Amari Hampton's best game of the season by far. I think we can kind of all agree in that 59 yards receiving, 70 yards rushing, 19 for 70 with a touchdown. Just like a typical J.K. Dobbins type of game when he was healthy last season. Maybe not necessarily 19 carries, but the 70 yards and a touchdown was kind of where Dobbins was at, and we know how effective that was. Najee Harris, 6 for 28, goes down with an injury. It looked like an Achilles. I'm not a doctor. I could be wrong, but that's what I got from it when it happened. I don't expect Harris to play again this season. I hope I'm completely wrong and I'm just an idiot. It didn't look good, though. Not to mention as well that Mekhi Becton went down with an injury. Khalil Mack is on the IR. There's a lot of key names hurt. When you look at Becton as well, with him being forced to come out, that means that Jamari Sawyer is going to have to step in. He got completely bull rushed, pushed over to the ground by a Denver edge rusher. It was crazy. And then Herbert obviously had a lineman right in front of him, and he's not able to move to that point. That was a very, very difficult play to see. But the Chargers don't have any depth on their offensive line. Hopefully they can get Becton back soon, because they got away with, honestly, not having Khalil Mack, because I thought that the pass rush did a pretty good job. I mean, they contained Bo Nix for the majority. Nix did have, 33-yard scramble. That's really not that much. It's typical for Nix as he gets around that. The defense was awesome for the Chargers. Of course, yeah. You talk about ending the first half, Cortland Sutton on a 4th and 1. The play before that was a flea flicker. And I don't know, Bo Nix just missed on some throws. And then, of course, they picked up that one, the 4th and 1, and then they end up scoring 10 points to start off the third quarter. There was some really, really bad possessions by the Chargers, but they just found a way to win. If I'm being completely honest, there wasn't a point in this game where I thought the Chargers were going to lose, even when they had given up 17 unanswered. I just knew that, hey, look, they're going to get a stop. They're going to get the ball last, and Justin Herbert's going to get them in a field goal range. And, Cameron Dicker, this sounds crazy to say, he's the most accurate quarterback in the history of football. So he hasn't missed all year through 3 games. I don't know if he'll even miss this season. That's how good he is. So as long as the Chargers have the ball last with a chance to win, they're going to win that game. As long as they're within 55 yards, it's a lock for them to get that game. And for Denver, their only chance was to legitimately just keep the ball and push it down the field and take time off the clock and to kick their own field goal. And they just simply didn't do that. Denver played a hell of a game. I told you guys that this is kind of a sneaky game. I mean, no one's underestimating the Broncos, but I think a lot of people thought that the Chargers would easily win this game. And there was a lot of struggles. Like, there were plenty more struggles in this game than there were positives. Herbert throws 300 yards and a touchdown. It just didn't feel like that. The 47 attempts, 300 yards. And typically, if Herbert throws 47 times, you're thinking 500 yards. That's with how good he is. But Denver just did an amazing job. They sacked him 5 times. You've got to be punching the air right now if you're a Denver Broncos fan. You sack Herbert 5 times. It's not like the run game was crazy. 28 for 106. The Broncos should have won this game. They played well enough defensively. It's just their offense, it's not explosive. That's the issue for Denver, is they don't have an explosive offense. And the Chargers, they didn't either last season, which is why they draft Trey Harris, who, of course, he's still kind of getting up to speed here. He's a rookie receiver at the end of the day. But they draft Trey Harris, Ronnie Gadsden, Keandre Lambert-Smith, and Marion Hampton, most notably, to try to fix that. And the first 2 games, Hampton wasn't amazing. But this game was his breakout one. I can't wait to look at his tape, because it's so hard to make videos nowadays, like after a game, because I need to go back and watch it and I need to look at the tape. And I'm sure I've already missed like 5 or 6 different things trying to look back on it as well. But Hampton, every time he touched the ball, it just seemed like he was going to pick up 10 yards or he was going to take it to the distance. And that's what the Chargers have been searching for a very long time. It's just an explosive player out of the backfield. Pair him with Ladd McConkey, and then you have that stability from Keenan Allen, who just catches everything. Him and Herbert have a great chemistry. There's great chemistry between them, and that's something, again, that just didn't exist last season outside of McConkey, is someone consistently who's going to be able to catch the ball. Keenan Allen, he gets open a lot of the times as well, as he's not even open, and then Herbert kind of scrambles, and then he's able to just, again, be on the same page and get down the field. But some of these catches by Allen this year, he's been completely contested. The defender draped over him, and Herbert just throws it low and away to his hands, and Allen comes down with it. Quentin Johnson probably should have had a touchdown down in the goal line. He just wasn't looking for the ball, but Johnson had a really good game. 10 targets, 11 targets for Allen. So you can see that these 2 guys have been getting the most amount of work, probably because teams don't want Ladd McConkey to beat them. But McConkey had 7 targets, which is it's a good amount of targets. But last season, I feel like Ladd McConkey was getting 10 plus targets every single game. Now he's got some help, which just makes the Chargers a much more complete offense. Gadsden sees the same amount of targets as McConkey. Who kind of saw that coming? That's crazy. Trey Harris just 1 target. Keandre Lambert-Smith, I feel like, has seen 1 target all year. It was against the Chiefs. He just hasn't been a factor. But again, a day 3 rookie, you kind of have to give him some time here. So the Chargers, they look good defensively. Offensively, I'm not impressed. I'm just not impressed. I sound like a hater. I don't know. It sounds kind of weird saying that aloud. I'm impressed, but also it's more so of I just know that they can do better. And I get Denver has a good defense, and they lost last week, and I knew they were going to come out aggressively. But I do want to see the Chargers just consistently be able to protect Herbert more. It's a bad matchup. The Broncos have the best pass rush in football. The Chargers, even with Mekhi Becton, are not a good offensive line. They played well against the Chiefs, which I get, but the Chiefs don't have a good rush. Like, who do the Chiefs have outside of Chris Jones coming after the quarterback? Nobody. So that's my point, is the Chargers see a good front, and Herbert didn't look at his best. That interception, he just tried to force it into a tight window, and it got deflected. There was a couple of balls that were deflected in the second and third levels, and but Herbert, he did enough, man. Again, it's 20-20. Herbert has the ball with 3 timeouts. I mean, you're going to get into field goal range. So you'll take the win. The fact the Chargers beat the Broncos and didn't even look that good, is definitely encouraging. Who do the Bulls play next week is the thing, though. I honestly have no idea. So Raiders, and then it was the Broncos, and no way, the New York Giants. That could be a trap game at MetLife. We'll see how they look tonight against the Chiefs, but I don't know, man. Which Giants do you get? The Week 1 Giants against Washington, or the Week 2 against the Cowboys? I think anyone. We could probably form an offense and move the ball against the Cowboys defense. The Cowboys are absolute garbage, but hey, Michael Parsons, I'm sure, would help them. But that's kind of all I got on this game. The next primetime is Thursday. It's a Thursday night against Minnesota. and then there's a Sunday night against Pittsburgh. This is a tough schedule. That's why I said the Chargers need to get off to a good start here. Indianapolis coming into the year looked kind of like a freebie, but not the case now. Yeah, I mean the Texans also the same thing. That looked like a really tough game. They suck. Yeah, but Charger 3-0, first time in 23 years. You love to see it, man.